Tonight on KGW News, a notorious sex offender that targeted TriMet riders for years.
He is a terrible threat to women and children everywhere.
Now headed to prison for decades.
Deputies have busted what they say was a stolen motorcycle operation in this Troutdale neighborhood.
Bikes kept coming and coming and coming, and the sound just kept getting louder and louder.
Plus, the search for a road rage driver authorities say caused a chain reaction crash involving an ambulance. Then later in sports, the Winterhawks Championship Series kicks off with the highest scoring first half of the playoffs. And 4 more Ducks learn they're NFL bound. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Mulco. We begin at 11 with what authorities call a stolen motorcycle takedown in Troutdale, one involving multiple bikes and a firearm, police say, and neighbors who tell us they knew something was up. Alma McCarty has our top story.
In Troutdale,
it's a regular suburbia out here.
This is the usual peaceful scene. However, there is one noise neighbors say that stands out.
It gets really loud with the motorcycles and the revving, and I thought, who is driving all these motorcycles?
The bikes kept coming and coming and coming, and the sound just kept getting louder and louder.
David and Rachel Snow say it's a nuisance they've dealt with for 5 years, backing up to a home with a lot of motorcycles on the property.
We'd hear these things going on at 4 in the morning, and as late as like 11 o'clock sometimes.
Yeah, he'd sit out there and rev them over and over and over. Then we had strange people coming back there. We've got 2 kids, so he had to build a fence so we didn't have to see the stuff.
Last week, the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office sent in a SWAT team, served a warrant, and arrested 42-year-old Michael Falk. This after Deputy Nick Bohr pulled over a speeding Harley-Davidson.
It had no license plates, no VIN numbers, and the person who was riding the bike stated that she had came from that location.
Investigators say among the more than a dozen motorcycles and various parts, there were 2 stolen motorcycles, 2 more with VINs intentionally removed, plus a gun and other weapons. A couple of the bikes missing for a while.
2 bikes were stolen out of Oregon City and Portland. I believe they were in 2023.
The Snows say despite the charges, they fear this activity will continue.
I'm afraid that we're going to have to sell our house because this is never going to go away. And I'm thankful the cops are trying to do what they can do, but their hands are tied.
And David, worth mentioning tonight that our newsroom got a message from the suspect saying he doesn't deal with known stolen bikes, but doesn't check the VINs either. We reached back out for further comment, but so far haven't heard back.
Intriguing that he reached out. Thanks, Alma. New tonight, the partner of one of the people killed when this plane crashed into a row of townhomes in Fairview has now filed a wrongful death lawsuit. The twin-engine Cessna took off from the Troutdale airport last August. Minutes later, he saw it there, clipped a set of power lines, and crashed into a house, killing Barbara McDonald. On Thursday, her partner, Kent Walton, filed a $10 million lawsuit naming the plane's owner, Circle Capital Industrial, a maintenance company, Emerald Aircrafters, and the estates of the 2 pilots who also died in this crash. The suit alleges the aircraft was not properly maintained or in a safe condition to fly. The initial report from the NTSB, by the way, said the pilot reported handling problems before the crash. Now to a convicted criminal authorities say has left a trail of trauma across the Rose City. Today, Jared Walter, a man many have come to associate with outright predatory behavior, particularly on TriMet, was sentenced to 22 years in prison. Devin Haskins has the update.
For the dozens of women Jared Walter targeted, Friday's sentencing brought something many of them have been denied for years, a sense of safety.
2 years ago, Jared Walter interrupted and changed the trajectory of my entire life.
Speaking through tears, one victim shared the immense impact Walter's violation of her privacy and safety had on her.
He is a terrible threat to women and children everywhere. I saw Jared Walter's shadow in the bathroom that night. I'm still scared of shadows.
The mother of a teenage minor victim also spoke, wanting an even harsher sentence than the 22 years the judge agreed to.
My wish and strong recommendation was that Jared be sentenced for life in prison, given his litany and long list of crimes
In a rambling apology, Walter asked for forgiveness of his crimes, both past and present.
I'm sorry to everyone I have ever trespassed against and the courts for the time that I was used on me for my trespassing on others.
In May, a jury found Walter guilty of 31 counts of invasion of privacy. It's a crime that's not new for Walter. He was arrested in 2020 for the same offense and pleaded guilty to taking photos of a woman using the bathroom at Lloyd Center.
We've seen him commit these same crimes over and over again. This sentence is going to be the longest that he's ever done in custody. This sentence is going to be the longest time the community is going to be safe from Jared Walter.
In total, Walter was sentenced to 22 years in prison with credit for time served.
Specifically, women, girls who are at risk every single day that he is in the community. So I'm satisfied with the result and happy that we can bring justice to the victims.
Walter has a pretty lengthy criminal history dating back longer than a decade. He's probably more well known for cutting women's hair and assaulting them on TriMet, earning him a lifetime ban, the first ever by the transit agency. I'm Devin Haskins, KGW News.
Developing tonight, Portland police are searching for a driver they say caused a chain reaction crash involving an ambulance. An AMR crew called police around 2 this morning saying they were being tailgated by a suspicious van. Police say the driver of that van was also yelling at the ambulance, though it's unclear exactly why. Authorities say before they arrived at Northeast 121st and Sandy, it appears the driver aggressively pulled in front of the ambulance, then hit their brakes. That caused the ambulance to slam on its brakes and another vehicle to crash into the back of the ambulance. The driver of the van took off. No one was injured. Okay, let's take you outside on this Friday night. 60 degrees in the Rose City on another gorgeous evening at the end of a stellar week. Chief Meteorologist Matt Spino here with your first forecast. So Matt, what is on tap for the weekend?
You know, the last weekend of April looks pretty good. We're going to have clouds in the morning like we did today, but warm up nicely in the afternoon. We're at 60 degrees. It is cloudy right now. We've got a combination of low clouds, but also high clouds and some rain rolling on in. You see this batch coming in from between Boise and Burns right now. It dropped about 1/4 inch of rain in the Stinking Water Mountains east of Burns and about 1/10 of an inch over by Owyhee Reservoir there. There were heavier amounts down by Lakeview in southern Oregon earlier in the day. Now, we had this happen. Watch this. You'll see this thunderstorm form right there, southwest of Mount Adams, head towards Clark County, and then completely dissipate as it moved off the high terrain there. But we did get a couple of lightning strikes there, and we captured it from a distance from our camera over in the Dalles at sunset. That's that cell right there, and you can see it flattening out on top and moving to the southwest and then just dissipating and made for a nice sunset as well. Tomorrow, 49 in the morning and cloudy, but it becomes sunny. And later in the day, we'll get up to about 70, so about 5 degrees cooler than today. We'll talk about the weather as we roll out of April and into May a little bit later. David, back to you.
Still, all things considered, 70 looks great. Thanks, Matt. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines, hackers have reportedly released millions of sensitive files onto the dark web, details that were stolen from the Department of Environmental Quality, or DEEQ. OPB reporting a known ransomware group called Reseda took credit for the cyber attack and said the state of Oregon did not respond to its demands. Some of the stolen data was reportedly auctioned off before the rest was released. DEEQ would not confirm or deny the report. State cybersecurity services are investigating. Portland-based international aid organization Mercy Corps is putting its downtown building up for sale. According to Mercy Corps, the building on the waterfront is only averaging about 12% occupancy. This comes as the organization faces severe cuts in funding from the federal government. Mercy Corps says it's received termination notices for 40 U.S.-funded programs, which will likely mean the end of service, benefiting some 3.5 million people. And nearly 24 international students studying at Oregon colleges and universities who had their visas revoked will apparently be getting them back. Today, the Trump administration announced it is reactivating visas for many of the nearly 2,000 students nationwide who had their status revoked in recent weeks. Many say they had no criminal records and were targeted for political activism. The White House calls this a temporary reprieve. It's not clear for how long until ICE can craft a new policy around visa terminations. Well, you are looking live at the Vatican and St. Peter's Square, what is just past 8 on Saturday morning and less than 2 hours away from the funeral of the late Pope Francis. Crowds are already beginning to gather, with hundreds of thousands of people set to attend that open-air service. This follows several days of mourning, with the Pope lying in state inside the Basilica, with people from all walks of life getting a final chance to say goodbye. Alice Barr has the latest.
Good evening. Over the past 2 nights, St. Peter's Basilica has stayed open nearly all night to let some 250,000 people stream in to pay their respects to Pope Francis. That is all over now, and his coffin has been sealed in a solemn and private ceremony ahead of the funeral tomorrow, when Rome officials expect roughly 500,000 people to pack in and around St. Peter's Square. Among them, Renato Yontop Colosi, who we first met as a student at Georgetown University. Now studying in Geneva, he made the trip to pray by the Pope's coffin, reflecting on the crowds of people from all over the world who came to be present for the Pope, who always wanted to be close to them.
He had that message of like, I'm not someone powerful, I'm here to guide you, but like I need you also to come with me. So he was always inviting, welcoming others. And I think that's something that highlights his personality and the type of church that he wanted to build.
50 heads of state, including President Trump, are due to be here for the funeral. Security has been ramping up for their arrival and for the Pope's procession through Rome, from the funeral at St. Peter's to his burial at Santa Maria Maggiore, outside Vatican walls, a first for a Pope in 120 years. The Vatican released an image of the tomb inscribed simply with the word Franciscus, another sign of the characteristic humility so many are honoring in Pope Francis as they prepare for a final goodbye. At the Vatican, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And stay with KGW for continuing coverage of the Pontiff's funeral. You can watch it live starting at 1 a.m. Pacific on our free TV app. It is KGW+. If you missed the live stream, we'll have the full funeral available on demand later in the day.